Hello, everybody. Okay, so this is try number 2 for how to crush the nighttime eating cravings. So thank you so much for joining me. I know this is not normally the time that I go live on Tuesdays, but seem to be having some trouble with being able to get a recording out there. So giving this another try, and I will tag the people who tried to watch this earlier. So what we're talking about today is nighttime eating, nighttime cravings. So drop a comment if that is something that you struggle with. Before I get into that topic, I just wanted to say that if you are seeing me on a Facebook business page or on a YouTube channel, you can come and join us in the free group, which is called The Sweet Life. The link to it is in the comments here, but we provide support, community, and accountability to women who are juggling all the things, and to caregivers also, to be able to find your energy, ideal weight, and crush the cravings without counting calories, carbs, or macros. And we do this through the power of blood sugar balance, encouragement, and self-care. So thank you for joining us, and you can find that link in the comments wherever you're watching me. So nighttime eating, is this an issue for you? So I know it's an issue for a lot of people. It used to be an issue for me. Drop a comment if that is something that you struggle with, because you're not alone. And so if when once we know we're not alone, then we feel empowered to step out and make a change and connect with others, and it removes the shame around it, right? So let's show up and be vulnerable and honest with the things that we are struggling with. So I wanted to give you tips on the 3 common reasons why people typically do struggle with nighttime eating and what to do about it. So, because sometimes it's really helpful to figure out what is the cause of the nighttime eating in order to handle it. And sometimes it's a little bit of all 3. So you should be able to get some help here in some form. So the first reason, and this is pretty common, that I see that people struggle with nighttime cravings is you're not eating enough. Yes, it's true. You may not be eating enough during the day. So, how many of you, be honest, are skipping meals during the day? You could be skipping meals because you're too busy. So, you're running from thing to thing to thing, and you're too busy and you kind of forget about it. Sometimes you're skipping meals during the day because you don't feel hungry during the day. So sometimes what happens is when we get out of balance, our hunger thermostat gets a little wonky, and it doesn't always tell us when we need to eat. So we're not hungry all morning. We don't really get hungry until around lunchtime. And then maybe we start eating, but then the real hunger turns on at night. Does that sound like you? So once you start eating breakfast, even if you're not hungry, eating breakfast, and yes, I know intermittent fasting, I'll talk about that in a minute. Once you start eating breakfast and you're getting protein and healthy fat and carbs, a balance of all, yes, carbs in the morning, then you will kind of restart. That helps to get your metabolism going again. And you'll start to notice that you will be hungry during the day, which is a good thing. So sometimes we're not hungry during the day because our hunger thermostat is a little bit off, and sometimes it's because we're too busy. So we want to make sure we're eating during the day, because if we're not eating all day, then at night is when we're going to get really snacky hungry. The other thing that happens in this same category of not eating enough during the day is being too restrictive during the day. So it could be if you are really focused on calories, or if you are really focused on um, things you can't have during the day. I'm not having this, I'm not having that, I'm not having this. That also tend to result in not eating enough during the day as well. This is typically an issue where people are thinking during the day, I'm being so good. I'm being so good by not having this and this and this and all of that. And so, what can really help to change this is how you're thinking about food. So we're thinking we're being so good about all of these things, but it's really going to backfire in the end because you will end up craving more at the end of the day. So the way to fix that part of not eating enough during the day is change how you're thinking about food. Start to think about food as fuel more. Now, there is obviously definitely food as there's soul food, food for the soul, and there's also food for fuel. And we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that it's once we feed our soul, it makes it easier to use the food as fuel. And also, if we turn our attention away from all the can't have, don't have this, restrict that, count your calories, all of that, when you turn away from that and look toward what can I have and how does it make me feel? So when you start noticing that when I eat this, then I feel good, I have energy, you can begin to flip that switch and begin to see food as fuel, begin eating more during the day, and that can help with eating less at night and also picking up your metabolism potentially as well. So that's the first reason you're not eating enough during the day or you're restricting too much during the day. So I'm curious how many people resonate with that one. The second one is emotional triggers. This can be a big one for people and they may not even know it. So these can all interact with each other as well. So even if you do have emotional triggers, it's important to go through step one that I just mentioned and make sure you're eating enough during the day and you're not restricting too much during the day. But take a look at, are there emotional factors for you? So what happens is we're busy all day and then we get to night when we start to settle down and then maybe the chatter that's in our brain or the stress that's in our brain that all the busyness distracted us from starts to come up to the surface. So it could be that you're stressed about something, you're lonely, you're anxious, you're bored, whatever it is, the feelings that kind of come up. And then we can eat to distract ourselves or we can eat to feel better because certain foods do produce neur- um, neurotransmitters, the feel good neurotransmitters that can help us feel good. So there's a few things that can be helpful here. So the key here is awareness. And we want to just start to become aware of what's going on without judging it. So if you're just joining me, thank you so much for joining me. So we want to start to be aware of what the feelings are without judging it. So when a feeling pops up, you can sort of ask yourself and go through, what am I feeling right now? Which I know sometimes is a scary thought, but you can ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And when the answer comes up, you can just say, oh, isn't that interesting? And not judge it and just kind of move on and allow yourself to feel it. I know that's scary. We want to run the other way, but it will subside. So just like the weather, so today was rainy day, didn't really love it, but it's the weather outside and there's not always a lot I can do about it, but I can, maybe change my attitude about it or still go about my day and I can just say, "Oh, it's raining. Isn't that interesting?" So, what we tend to do is we tend to run from it and then we will feed those feelings or we'll try to eat those feelings away. So, this is where awareness and where journaling can really come into play and can really be helpful for us in tuning into the feelings. And then you can figure out what is the help that you really do need at that point. What is it that you really do need instead of just, the snacking? And this is a process. This is not necessarily overnight, but for some people, they may not even know that the nighttime snacking is related to a feeling. So it's important to look at that. The other way that nighttime snacking comes into play in terms of feeling is for some moms who are busy all day, they nighttime is the only time that you get downtime. And then it's easy to just have that downtime be a lot of snacking as well. So it's important to look at that. Where are you getting some self-care? Making sure that you're eating enough during the day, and what are you going to be doing if the nighttime really is your only downtime and you want to have that, what are you going to be doing then that's really going to be serving you the most? Then the third reason, so we talked about the first reason is you're not eating enough during the day or you're restricting too much during the day. The second reason is emotional um, reasons, emotional eating at night. And then the third reason is just habit, just plain old habit of this is the thing that you always do. Of at nighttime after dinner, you go and you put the TV on and you watch your show, or maybe you are with family and friends and that's what you do. And you guys all participate in the same kind of habit. So that is something that can happen as well. And once again, these other two factors can play into it. So make sure you're feeding yourself during the day. But with a habit, you always, whenever you're changing a habit, you want to make sure that you're not just saying you're not going to do it, but you're going to figure out what else are you going to put in there instead. So don't leave a vacuum for something else to come in there, but proactively decide what you are going to do instead. So some of the things for nighttime habit snacking is keep your hands busy. A lot of people have said if they can keep their hands busy. So some people do crafting. Maybe it's knitting or crocheting. Some people will do puzzles. Some people like to color at night. Something that is keeping your hands busy. For other people, it could be like snacking on a tea. So if you feel like you want to have something, if you do have something, you want to have something with some protein and some healthy fat because that's going to keep you full. And I think also the tea would be great as well. You wanna be careful with that because if you're having liquid at night, you could end up waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and then it's hard to sleep, and you set yourself up for more cravings from being tired. But figure out what your new habit is going to be rather than just cutting out the old habit. If you are with other people and you all have the same habits that you're doing every night, if you live with somebody else and you're all doing the same thing, every night, you may want to tell them what you're doing, that you're trying, to change your habits at night and you're not going to be snacking. They may or may not join you, and that is okay. So you just have to be kind of prepared for that. For what are you going to do if they continue to do that habit? And what different thing are you going to do that still feels nourishing to you? So that's an important thing too. You can also change your habits by kind of going slowly. So, for example, you can take a look at what are the things that you are doing now. Let's say that you consider that nighttime starts after dinner. Start to write down and look at all of the different things that you're doing after dinner. And you might notice a pattern of, oh, here are the six things that I typically do after dinner. I feed the dog, I do the dishes, I talk to my friend, all of these other things. And then I sit on the couch and we do this. And then I go get ready for bed. So, all of these different things. So, then you can start to one by one change these things after dinner and just and decide what you want to keep and not keep. So, not changing them all at once, but changing one habit, one step of that at a time. Another thing that you can do is to brush your teeth after dinner. A lot of people have said that's helpful for them with nighttime snacking habits. So they will, once they know they're in for the night after dinner, you brush your teeth, wash your face, all of that. You get in your pajamas because that signals to your brain, we are done. We're done eating for the day. We're all set for the day. So for some people, even that feeling of brushing your teeth is enough to keep you from the nighttime snacking. Plus, there's an extra added bonus. When you are ready to go to bed, you are done. All you have to do is literally fall into bed because you've already done all the things, which is a nice bonus instead of that feeling of being trapped on the couch because it's takes less effort to just sit there on the couch than it does to actually get up and go get ready for bed, right? How many people have been there? Me, a lot. So that's always super helpful when I can take care of that stuff in advance. So those are the three reasons why you might be snacking at night. So there we talked about the not eating enough during the day. Number two, the emotional eating. And number three, just plain old habit. So I'd love to know which of these is helpful for you and how you have tackled nighttime eating or what you're still struggling with. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you around.